there, everybody. I'm just checking in and seeing that there's already some great action going in the comment section. Welcome to Creative Challenges with Jen. I am Jen Raza. I am one of the co-founders of Altenew, and I host our wonderful weekly challenge on Tuesdays. And I am so excited that you guys are here with me today. So I did not stream on Tuesday last week. And that is because I had a different live stream that went up on Thursday, and it was in partnership with SCT. So if you haven't checked that out, you can. That is available on the Altenew platforms and the Scrapbook and Cards Today platforms. And last week I made this very cute card using some newer Mini Delight exciting products and some older flower dyes. So if you want more information on that, please check that out on the replay. And today we have a brand new challenge. Of course, I'm going to announce the winner of last week's challenge. And speaking of winners, you can also win. And you don't really have to do much in order to be eligible to win. You just need to share our live stream while we're live. And one winner will be selected after I sign off. And that person will win a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store. So whether you are an old fan of Altenew and you've got a mile-long wish list, or you're new to the company and you just want to try us out, and I'm pretty confident if you do, you will love us. But that is your choice if you win, to just grab something that maybe you've been wanting or get something for a friend. You know, there's lots of possibilities of things you can do with a nice $15 gift certificate to put towards something in the Altenew shop. So the other way to win is, of course, by playing along. Let me just do some hellos, because I do want to acknowledge those of you who have been busy in the chat since before I even hopped on today. So Ciamara is here. Donna is here. Nancy, hello. Alana, Rebecca, Charlene. Let's see who we have. Angel is here today. So hello to Angel behind the Altenew badge. Sue is here, and lots of other people. Miss Tamp, a lot of names I recognize, and it's lovely to see you all again. All right, so I'm just scanning through. Carrie, she said she saw the live for Scrapbook and Cards today, so I'm glad that you were able to join me over there for that. When I'm saying over there, it was also over here, but it was over here and it was over there. And let's get down to business. So last week we had, or not last week, 2 weeks ago, we had a challenge for me too. We were doing some new special effects techniques. And after I signed off, I did finish what I was working on. And I also tried the glitch one again, just because I felt like with more time, I could do more with it. So here is my updated glitch. It almost looks like it's glitching as I move it, right? So this was my updated glitch. I used lots of different colors. I used a stencil, offset it 3 times, was being more cautious and paying attention to which areas were overlapping so that I can color them in the appropriate colors. And I think it's a really cool look. Now, is this something I would use for a card? Maybe. I think it's definitely a unique look. I would want to perfect it even more, just knowing me, but it was definitely more fun the second go around. And I felt like I knew a little bit better how to do it. And I was able to take my time, because when you're live, you don't have all the time in the world. You know, I wish that I could just sit there for like 4 hours and you guys would watch it. Maybe some of you would, but you know, the live stream, we've got an hour together. So I was glad I was able to take some time to do that. I also finished my X-ray, which I think is my favorite of all the techniques. It was really fun to add all of that white pencil coloring, add all the shading, add the additional lines so that it looks like the petals and everything are translucent. And I think that that effect came out quite good. I did refine my neon sign. Ooh, a little speck up here. But you see the neon sign effect. I was able to thicken the pink parts. That was something we talked about in the last live stream as we were learning that technique together, is having slightly thicker with the acrylic marker. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, just go back and watch 2 weeks ago. It's Project FX. But I went more with the acrylic paint pen, just so that I would have more of that pink. And then I did go back over the glowy areas again with my pencils. So that's that. And then you may remember I mentioned that I had tried a neon sign technique a while ago, and it was actually pretty similar to what I did. This was when the first acrylic paint pens came out, that first volume 1 set. And I was like, oh, this will be so cool. So I found that, and I still really like how that looks. So in this one, I didn't do as much of like a pencil glow around the edges, but I did use the paint pens and some heat embossing to get that look. And I like that I used some different colors. So those were what I created last week. I did not try the blur effect. Again, I actually didn't have time. I know, even with 2 weeks, I did not have time to wrap that up. I've been doing some extra designing for some new products, and I've been getting ready for the start of school and the start of the first time I'm sending Logan to daycare. So it's been a lot going on over here, but I would love to announce the winner of our challenge of Project FX. So give me a moment to share my screen. And here we go. So here is the winning project I chose, and this is Charlotte E. I will try to pronounce it. Erukanen, maybe Erukanen. So Charlotte, I really loved how you use that neon sign technique. I feel like that flask is radioactive. There's some kind of chemical in there causing some glow reaction. So be careful when you're hanging out near those science labs with Charlotte, because she's working on some evil scientist stuff, it seems like. But I really liked the way that the simple stamp was able to highlight and feature that glowy technique and able to do that neon sign. And I like how everything looks on the black cardstock. Obviously, a lot of you guys did black cardstock because 2 of the techniques featured black as a background, but everybody did really well, and you guys all tried something new. And I feel like looking at the comments that other people left on your projects, they also really, really appreciated and liked these cool effects when seeing your projects. So inspiration all around. So congrats again to Charlotte. So make sure to contact us so we can get you set up with your prize. Yay! Okay. So let's talk about today. Today we are doing opposites attract. And the whole point of today is to use colors that are opposite one another on the color wheel. So if you need to look at a color wheel to refer to, that is absolutely fine. Whenever you use opposite complementary colors, you are guaranteed to get a lot of pop, a lot of energy in your project, because those colors are completely opposite in their qualities with one another and their relationship to other colors. So what I mean by that is, if you're looking at a color wheel, note to self, Jen, you should have printed out a color wheel. If you're looking at a color wheel and you have all those little wedges of colors, if you look at ones that are directly opposite one another, so for example, blue and orange, or yellow and purple, or red and green, and all the colors in between. So if you want to get different values of different colors, you can definitely do that. But we want to have those bright, punchy projects with these complementary colors. Black and white are neutrals. Let's not even do gray. So you could do black, white, and 2 complementary colors for your project. So I am going to be challenging myself to use my least favorite combination of complementary colors, orange and blue. And the reason why this is my least favorite, I can't really say for sure, is I think it's because I grew up on Long Island and I associated these colors with the Mets, and I am not a baseball fan, and my household is split. So if you're like, wait, I'm from New York, are you a Mets fan or a Yankee fan? I'm neither. But my family, I have 2 members that are Mets fans and 2 members of my household that are Yankees fans. My older brother is a Yankees fan, as is my mom. And then my younger brother and my dad are both Mets fans, and I don't care at all about baseball. But living in a baseball household, I don't know. I just felt like whenever I saw these colors together, it just made me think of the Mets. And I'm like, whatever. So I'm going to be using these today, and I'm going to be using them on a older set. Let me pop you down so I can show you what we've got. And then I think I did plan for this more than usual. I'm looking to see, Cynthia just got a whole bunch of full-size inks. You're going to have a lot to choose from. Helena said she missed the neon show. Yeah, please go back and watch it. And I'm sorry if you pronounce it Helena. Some people say Helena, some people say Helena. And let's see, would gold be a yellow or neutral? I'm going to say that'll be yellow. So purple and yellow toned gold, Rebecca, that would be just fine. I think that would be really beautiful. All right, so let's go down to my table. Okay, so here's my thought. I actually had a different thought. I was going to use the gardenia set and then maybe do some ink blending on my different die cuts. But then I thought, let me do some stenciling because I did die cuts last week and I thought this would be fun to do some stencils and stamping today. And I grabbed the Dynamic Duo hanging houseplants. And I'm going to be challenging myself because I'm not using green, right? It'd be easy if I just did red and green and made the leaves green and then made the pots red or varying tones of red. Or if I did a Christmas project for red and green, I know a lot of you are getting a big head start on holiday projects. So if you celebrate Christmas or you have friends who do, then you can absolutely do a red and green holiday card. That's an easy way to get some complementary colors. But I'm challenging myself to make this look okay using oranges and blues. So I think I'm going to go with blue for the greenery and orange for the pots. If you think very strongly about me doing it the opposite way, doing orange for the greenery and blue for the pots, just pop that into the comments and let me know because I'm willing to change my thought process for you. But I feel like, you know what, no matter what colors I pick, if I ink it nicely, which is easy to do with our easy to align stencils with the etchings and everything. If I do a nice job with my stamping, I think I can make it look good no matter what colors they are. So that's what I am challenging myself to do. Sue says she has the houseplant set and only used it once. Okay, she's looking forward to see what I do with it. I'm looking forward to seeing what I do with it. All right, so let's pull out. I'm just going to use the stamp wheel. I do have my larger grid mat, but I'm not worried about the smaller work surface here. I think it's easier while I'm live just to be working on one tool. This is just the stamp wheel original with the original 7.5-inch grid mat. And I've got some cardstock and I will get my inks and do some ink blending. Any guesses as far as which ink blending brushes I'm going to use? I'm sure you know I'm going to be using my favorite mini ink blending brushes. I can't help myself. All right, so this one has 2 stencils. And if you look inside the bifold, we have the layering guide and we also have a sample card. Now I'm going to be using this sample card to arrange my potted plants because it's always a great way to get a head start on your project. And if you're ever lacking inspiration, you can always just open up your packaging where you will find one or more projects. So depending on the size of the stamp set or the size of the insert or the size of the stencil, you will get a different number of projects. So for the stencils, it's usually 1 project. For 4x6 stamp sets, you get 2 project inspirations. For 6x8, you get 4. You know, there's a lot of project inspiration to go around. So I'm going to be using this as a guide, just approximately. It doesn't have to be exact. And then I'm going to look at my layering guide. So the first one we do is the A, okay, and that creates this pot right here, and that's the one right here. So I'm going to be using, oh, by the way, while I'm blabbering on, let me see if anybody had opinions on how I was going to color them. Someone said, I don't care. Any way you do it. From Sue. Kim, you know it. It's the mini. Yep. You know me so well. All right, so let's do that then. We're going to start with stencil number 1. There is an etch here. Maybe you could see it right like that. And I'm going to place this off the edge a little bit like it is in the sample card. And I think that looks good just like this. Okay. Now, of course, my sticky mat is going to hold that into position, and no one said otherwise, so we're doing the blue as our greenery. The green will be blue. And once again, my light is driving me crazy. You guys, I do set this up beforehand. I think it might be too far in advance because then the lighting changes from the sun moving from my window, and then it always gives me a glare. I will hopefully fix that better next time. But once I start blending, you'll be able to see. And let me just grab an ink blending brush, mini. I love it. Fatugina says, my phone falls behind my bed. What's going on? I love that. What's going on? We're using some complementary colors. So I'm going to be starting off with the blues to do my greenery. And I'm challenging myself to make this look good, even though I'm not using green for my leaves. It'll be a very interesting look. And if you look here, how this is inked up, each part of the leaf, it's actually easier here to see, each part of the leaf is inked solidly. I'm going to do a little bit of a gradient just to add a little bit of extra oomph to these leaves. So I'll start with Aqualicious and Dewdrops. And let me just test off on a piece of scrap paper first, making sure I like that color. I think that's beautiful. So for this first step, I'm going to start with the lighter blue, and I'm inking it darker at the top and the bottom. When you do ink blending like this, where you want to get a gradient, you can do it however you want. Typically, I start at the bottom and make that the darkest and make it go lighter at the top. But I'm just doing it a little bit differently here. It really doesn't matter how you ink blend, but I want the highlight to be in the center of each leaf. It's not necessarily realistic unless the leaf is bent towards the light. Now that might be the case for one leaf, but I'm going to be doing it for all of them. You can also pick a source of light. So let's say you wanted the light source to be on the left and the shadow to be on the right. You can darken the right side of each section and keep it lighter on the left. It really is completely up to you how you're envisioning it in your head. It looked like my video kind of glitched out for a second or paused. Hopefully that is not what happened, but please let me know if my connection's a little weird. Although I'm not sure there's much I can do about it now, just because once I sign off, it like erases the live stream and I can't get back to it. I know, that's annoying, isn't it? Okay, so we're doing the blending. I'm loving this, super cute. And now I will go into the second layer. Hey, blue doesn't look so bad for greenery. And now you may not be able to see it, but please trust me. We've got some etched lines here that will fit exactly where I have ink blended my first layer. So just popping it into position, pressing it down. And for this one, I'm going to use that lighter tone in the center, but a little more intense. And then we'll go with Aqualicious to be the edges. Remember, we're darkening up the edges. So we'll do that here and here. So we're good with Dewdrops for now. Lynn says she loves using grays for leaves. That sounds really elegant. I really love that. It's so hard to remind yourself sometimes to use those unconventional color schemes while you're creating, because you probably have like your defaults, right? Like the types of colors you grab for consistently, like me with the Tropical Forest ink set that I can't get enough of and I'm always grabbing, or me with the mini ink blending brushes because I'm obsessed with them. But it's nice to go ahead and try something different and unique combination, a unique tool for you. And when we have these stencils that have all of this etching in it, you really don't need to refer to the layering guide in most cases. Not all cases, of course. We have some products that have slightly more complicated components in the layers, or if they're a builder set like this. This is more of a building stencil set as opposed to a layering stencil set. Okay, now this one, the Aqualicious, is going to go in the center of these leaves, and then I'll blend Teal Cave on the edges. So you see I'm just going deeper with each layer. Just like that. It's so relaxing to ink blend. I feel like because it comes together fairly quickly and it's not that difficult to do. Lynn says it was an Altenew demo that inspired doing gray. Sarah's lives years ago turned you onto gray flowers. Oh, that's so great. I'm sure she would love to hear how inspirational you found those grays to be. This is so pretty. I wonder if I'll be a convert and I'll make more blue leaves. I'm really excited to see which color pairings a lot of you end up doing. Like if there's going to be a trend, like maybe a lot of people using certain color combos, maybe because we are working on holiday cards, many of us, there might be a lot of Christmassy tones together with the reds and the greens. This is looking really cool, like very icy, unexpected. Okay, I really love how this is coming out. So we have, let's see, our last layer right here. And you guessed it, I'm going to start with our Teal Cave in the centers of each leaf section. And then we're really going to darken it up with that galactic stream on all the edges. Okay, yeah, Sue says it's looking pretty already. Yeah, I'm curious to see how it's going to come out once we add those orange pots. Now, you don't have to stick to just 2 color families when you make your project. So I am just sticking with these. So I'm going to use the same blues and the same oranges for each of my hanging plants. But if you have other inks in those colors, go ahead and use them. Just don't use any additional colors. You can use black and white, but no other colors. So if you're like, oh, this would look really great with a pop of red, don't do it. That's cheating. Don't cheat. So we're just sticking to those complementary colors. I love how deep this blue is. Oh yeah. Look at that. Okay. I know the first layer is hard for you to see. I could see it just fine. So I really like the dimension that the ink blending gave. I didn't line up my stencils perfectly right here, but I like that it just kind of gives a natural veining to that leaf right there. And now I have my dirtied blending brush. So I'm just going to go on the back of a piece of scrap paper and blend it off. Now you can also use like 70% alcohol if you want to like give these a clean. I'm just lazy. And I don't. So might there be some contamination? Yes. Will my dewdrops on the next arrangement be darker? Most likely. But do I care? Not at all. All right, let me just wipe this off with a damp cloth. I will come back to do the little pots, but while I have the blues out and the ink blender out, I'm just going to stick with that for now with the next stencil. And if you're just coming in, this is an older set that we had. The Dynamic Duo, and this Dynamic Duo is the hanging houseplants. So really, really cute. Just especially if you're giving a card for someone who like moved to a new house or maybe got a new job. I think that would be a really cute occasion for this. Brick by Brick says, or Brick by Burke, sorry, I think I read that wrong last time too. Want to double check that we need to create a card using 2 complementary colors. Exactly. So I've chosen my least favorite, blue and orange. You can use blue and orange, you can use green and red, you can use yellow, purple, or any of the colors in between. So like teal or turquoise or fuchsia, you know, stuff like that. Just look at the color wheel and look directly opposite one another to help choose your color palette. Okay, now we're looking here at our design. We're looking at our next stencil, and we have our B section. So that's right up here. And if I look at my layering guide, B creates this guy here in the center. So I'm going to place that into position, approximately where it will go. I think I might lift it up a little bit higher. If they end up overlapping a little bit, that's fine. Don't need to worry about that. And now I feel like I don't need to go into detail too much about what I'm doing here, but I'm just following the same steps in my blending. Just getting a last little bit of some ink off of this. But again, I'm not too concerned about the color being there. Yeah, it's pretty much off. Okay, back into the dewdrops. Fettuccine, you can use black and white, but no other neutrals. So don't use gray. Oops. I think I did this a little wrong. Go a little darker here on the edges. Yeah, so we don't want to use other neutrals. I want you to really like look at this, your project, and see those complementary colors. They should be the most obvious colors on your project. So that's why I'm going to say no other neutral tones. This is cute. I think I'm into it. I know I'm going to change my opinion about 100 times while I'm working on this, but I think I like the colors together for the greenery. Now we're going into the B2. And B2 is going to be mostly using the Aqualicious. I'm just putting a little bit of the dewdrops in first. Carrie says no metallics. I love when you guys ask questions like, and how about this, Jen? How about this? Because you know, sometimes I cave and I just say, sure, whatever you want. I'm going to stay firm on this. No metallics. So just black, white, complementary colors. That is all. Super cute. Now I have B3. Putting this into position. I'm telling you, once we started etching onto the stencils, like it was game changing. Just so much easier to do your ink blending without needing to rely on the help of the layering guide. No need to just stare at the stencils and try to figure out where the layers belong. It's just very easy to see. Okay, Teal Cave next. It's funny, when I use Teal Cave, I'm like, this is so dark. Nothing can possibly be darker than this. And then you get to the Galactic Stream, and you're like, oh yeah, that's darker. And having those really, really deep dark tones really helps give a lot of depth to your project. And that's no matter what you're doing. So you could be painting or coloring. Always add more dark than you expect, and always keep your lights super light when you start. You can always go back and darken them some more if you feel like you were too light. But most often than not, you won't regret having high contrast, really bright brights, and really dark shadows. Okay, Galactic Stream. And then we're going to be done with our greenery. Bluery. Should we call it bluery? If it's not green, it's blue. Bluery. I think that works. So there we go, right? I thought that the teal cave was the darkest we get. Now it's like Galactic Stream, like, poof, there it is, in your face. Okay. Love, love, love. And don't forget about embellishments. So even though you're limiting your color palette, we are not limiting the number of layers or embellishments you add to your project. So go wild, you know, add a bunch of ink blending, add a bunch of cardstock strips or sentiments, and do whatever it is that makes you happy when it comes to using your limited color palette. Yeah, bluesnery. Yeah, you're right. It wouldn't be bluery. It'll be bluesnery. I love it. Thank you so much, Gina. I'm assuming your name is Gina. Let me know if you just want me to call you Fedu Gina, but yeah, bluesnery. Suit enamel dots. Yeah, I'm trying. I've got so many, you know I do. I've got an obscene amount of enamel dots that I really am trying hard to incorporate into more of my projects. Now just cleaning this off. I'll give this a better scrub down later, but just an initial wipe down here is helpful. Oh, I definitely should have waited until I did my next layer, because now my stencil's a little wet. Okay, drying it off. And let's take a little intermission then while this is drying to take a look at the bluesnery that we have. It's cool. I think it's very cool. And I think it's going to pop once we add those blended orange pots. And then it's going to pop even more when we add the stamped details. Because remember, our dynamic duo includes a stencil and it includes the stamp set. Oh my gosh, you guys, it is freezing. I keep seeing the screen freeze. I don't know why. It's saying that I have a full internet connection, but you guys know that that doesn't mean anything in the world of being live. It's just sometimes it doesn't work in our favor. I don't know. Okay, last but certainly not least, we have this little one over here. These leaves are a lot smaller. I think I will just keep the dark tones at the bottom, the light tones at the top, instead of doing what I did before with like light in the middle, dark on the edges. So I'm looking over here for my C1 layer. So that's etched in right there. And looking at the positioning, because I'm borrowing inspiration from the project guide. Please do that. We design all these cards. So whoever designs the set designs the cards and the packaging. So I designed this stencil and stamp set. I designed this card, hoping that some of you out there would use that design. Please use it as a jumping off point. And I'm curious, go ahead in the comments and let me know if you have recreated the projects from the inserts inside the Altenew projects or Altenew products. I'm curious if any of you have done that. That will make me very happy if I hear that you did. All right, let's look at some more comments. The last post should be, you can never have too many enamel dots. Thank you, Sue. And yeah, Gina, you broke the internet. That's all you. I'm blaming you on that. All right, let's drop it up. Starting at the bottom and blending upwards. So this is what I was saying before. Keep the light parts almost white. You could actually leave them white if you really wanted to. You'll still be able to see that it is a plant. the human eye does a really good job of filling in details that might not be there. That's a lot of times how optical illusions work. Oh, that would be a really fun theme. Optical illusions. Probably really hard, like the Project FX was. But the human eye does a lot to fill in gaps, right? Or fill in things that might not be there. So even if your blending just kind of like feathered into nothingness and there was pure white at the end, you still see a full leaf just because your eye understands what it's looking at and will do that for you. Whether you realize it or not, your brain's always working in that way. So you could definitely be really, really light when it comes to those highlights. Putting my C2 layer into position and starting with the dewdrops at the top. And then I will blend my Aqualicious from the bottom. Okay. I've missed something. Wait, do not jump. I'm reading a comment. Wait, do not jump off anything unless it is very close to the ground. Now, if you're like me, I jump out of perfectly good airplanes with a parachute. Oh my gosh. I used to always want to skydive. And actually more specific than that, I always wanted to do like, I think it's sky surfing, where you've got what looks to be like a snowboard or like a board of a skateboard, surfboard attached to you. And then you do all those like flips and tricks and stuff. That was always something that I wanted to do. And when I was young, I said, oh, when I'm old enough to do that, I will do that like on my birthday. And it never happened. And then I still would love to do it. But when I hear this, what's funny is I'm scared of airplanes. I get anxiety on airplanes. I am more scared of going up in that like janky little plane than I am of jumping out of it. Make that make sense, you guys. Make that make sense. I did not have airplane anxiety when I was younger. It really developed when I was an adult, and I'm not sure why. I just like had randomly had a panic attack on an airplane. And then from that point on, it was like super scared of going on the airplanes. So I still do it. But it's not a good, fun experience. So if I think about not even going on a commercial airline, but going in one of those little tiny airplanes that takes you up for skydiving, that's what my fear is that I have to overcome, is not the jumping out. For some reason, the free fall isn't scary, but the airplane ride is. Who knows, right? Carrie says her daughter-in-law has panic attacks with airplanes and is no longer able to fly. It's so terrible, isn't it, when that happens? And like I said, it was just an isolated incident. It was not related to, at least to my knowledge, right? Maybe subconsciously, but it was not related to any other event or any other circumstance. It's just something that had happened. And when I had that panic attack, I now associate airplanes with panic attacks. So I think that's why it's scary for me now to go on airplanes, where I used to love it. It used to be my favorite thing ever, actually, is going on airplanes. Nancy says, try sky surfing, right? Doesn't that look so cool? Sounds so cool. All right, let's bring in our galactic stream. We certainly got off topic a wee bit, but look at that. Now we've got our greenery, aka bluenery. I'm going to pop my blending brush back in its case, close up galactic stream, and we are good for blues for now. I don't know, I might bring back for the sentiment. We shall see. Just wipe these down. And now, since we have the 3 different pots, I think I'll just do 3 different oranges. So Sunkissed is pretty light. I think I'll do Fire Brick, Autumn Blaze, and Orange Cream. And just like before, I'm going to do more dark blending on the edges and then lighter towards the center. So let's go back to that first plant. We need E. That's the pot that we have here. Could you mix and match your pots? You absolutely can. Just make sure if you switch out your pots, you switch out this like macrame stamp that is on it because they fit the sizes of the 3 different pots. All right, what did I just say? E? I think I said E. Let me double check. Yes, E. Here is E. Okay, so while I'm putting my pot here, you'll see we have a slight conundrum. I have a leaf right there, and it's in the area where I need to do my pot. So I'm just going to take a piece of satin masking tape. I'm going to cover it up. You could definitely take a scissor and cut it to be exactly that shape. I don't need to. I'm just going to pop this down, cover it as best as I can, and I'm happy with that. Okay, so let's make this one orange cream. Okay, for those of you just coming in, we are doing complementary colors, which is why I have such odd colors that I'm using for green plants. Odd to me. Maybe it's not odd to you guys anymore. Now, when you do this technique of blending the sides darker than the centers, it actually makes it look very rounded. So a really cool round look right there. Okay, let's peel this off. See, there we go. Perfection. And all I needed was that little piece of tape. Okay, we are done with that. Let's do Autumn Blaze over here. So looking at my guide, I've got pot F. So this is going to be F. And here it is. And that one's just going to go right here. And I'm inking it the same way. Are these colors growing on me? Maybe. They might be. Brick by Brooke says, I have parasailed as well, but on the East Coast of the USA. And is a double lower limb amputee. Legs on for jumping out of the plane, no legs for parasailing. Wait, what do you do with the legs then? Oh, so got it. I'm like thinking parasailing is out of a plane. It is not out of a plane. So when you jump out of the airplane, you have your prosthesis on, and then that's really cool. I wonder why. If you want to give some more information, I'm curious why for parasailing you wouldn't have them on. However, for jumping out of the plane and skydiving, you do. Okay. That is my blending right there. And then last but not least, we have D, and I will use Fire Brick for this one. I'm wishing that I had kind of framed this a little more evenly. Everything's kind of scooting off to the right. So whenever I do that, I'll just slice some of this off and then mount it onto a colored card base. That just solves that, doesn't it? You have to think on your toes when you're creating and come up with solutions to problems. Okay. Donna says it was an awesome trick with the tape. Yeah, it's really helpful to have tape around for all sorts of things, but it's great to just easily mask off an area, and you don't need to get any special supplies or tools out, and you just peel it off when you're done. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay. So we have our bluery done. Our pots are done. Now we get to stamp. I'm finally excited to stamp after all this fun ink blending, and my fingers are quite inky. And looking at the time, we are doing great for time. For once, I don't feel rushed. Sue, can we do a black layer? Yep, black's allowed. And you could do as much black and white as you want. I said before, like if you look at the card, the colors that stick out should be your complementary colors, but you could do like a mostly black and white card and have little pops of color, but making sure that they're only those two complementary colors of your choice. So don't feel like you have to overwhelmingly have those two colors. You can use as much black and white as you want. And thank you for sharing. Please share while you're live, because Anne will have a chance to win a $15 gift certificate, as will everybody else who has shared while we're live. And I want to make sure that as many of you are in the running for that as possible. All right, we're getting updates by brick by brick. So planes, the landing requires me to extend my legs when I get to the drop zone. Makes sense. Parasailing prosthetics are a no-go in water, especially salt water. Oh, that makes so much sense. Thank you for teaching us about that. I find it fascinating for sure. And you are so amazing for that. Can I do IKEA not being sued? Gina, you're going to have to help me understand what you mean. Can I do IKEA? Because IKEA is blue and yellow, right? Is that what you're thinking of? Is the IKEA colors? I think it's blue and yellow, right? All right, let's go to our stamp set. And now we can see which ones we're doing. They're all going to be black, so I can just lay them all out. And then we did all the ink blending in the stamp wheel, so I'm ready to go with my stamping. Okay, so if you look and see, this macrame now is also going to be needed to get covered up. So is this the piece? Yeah, this is the piece of tape I used before. We'll just put the same tape back on. Okay, so I actually can't stamp them all in one go, because if I have this tape mask here, it's going to block the lines on the plant hanger on the next one. So let me do this one first, and then I can do the other two in one shot. So I'm looking to see where this goes. That little knot goes at the bottom. Okay. Now I'm just going to be picking this up with the Stamp Wheels flip plate and my all-time favorite black ink, our Obsidian. And it does really well on these super fine lines, like in this macrame. Okay, so cute. Oh my gosh, you guys, someone noticed, didn't they, that my mask is too big? One of you was probably screaming at me. Okay, look, this is why oh my gosh. Okay, we're just gonna trim that. This is why it's so good to have the stamp wheel, because I did not remove my stamp. There we go. All right. I could also use a pen. We have our new fine liners, you guys. They are awesome. I could just use a fine liner and do, oh my gosh, I got ink all over it. What am I doing? Okay. Whew. The orange looks more like terracotta. It does. You're right, Gina. Especially that one at the bottom. Very much terracotta look. Okay. Let's stamp that. Oh my gosh. I'm making a mess of myself here. I probably should have re-inked it. Yeah, let me just put a little more ink on. You guys. I wasn't worried about time until now. Oh, and I inked up the wrong side. Can you guys relate to this? I'm sure you can. Okay. Now, there we go. Excellent. I'll take off my little masks. Try not to get more ink on my card where it doesn't belong. Okay. I love that. It was a stressful moment, but it looks good. Okay. There we go. Just wiping this off and grabbing the last two. Gina's like, what are you doing? It could be in the front. I know, but I didn't want it in the front because I already stenciled it to be in the back. I would have had to redo the stenciling if I wanted to be in the front, because I wouldn't have the plant hanger in the front if the pot was in the back. Does that make sense? Oh my gosh. Okay. The knot is at the bottom. I will shift that into position in a second. The knot is at the bottom. I'm saying it loud for my own benefit so I don't do it incorrectly. Okay, very cute. All right, now I can do these two at the same time. Also using my favorite Obsidian pigment ink. There we go. And now nothing needs to be masked off. These are okay where they are. Love that. Oh, the black looks so good with everything else. Okay, so now we're going to add in the string. And we do have a string stamp, okay? You don't have to use it. It's actually kind of wiggly. If you use it, I would mount it with like a straight edge. Because I'm talking so much about the fine liners, like, let's just do it. Let's go with the fine liner. I cannot tell you how old this ruler is. Office Depot. Is Office Depot still even a thing? I don't know. I don't think I have any nearby. But I like this because it has the metal edge. It's good for using like a craft knife. Okay, let's put that here and let's decide which fine liner we want to use. Because we have different sizes and I want to use a size that looks good with those stamps. Okay, this one I think I might use the 01. Let's see, the 03. No, that's actually better. Let's do the 03. We also have smaller and larger and a brush one. So now if I look at the stamp set, there is like a little knot where the string attaches. So I'll just do like a little circle like that. And this is the cutting and alignment mat that I'm using, and that just helps me ensure that my lines are straight up and down. Little circle there, and then one more to go. Carrie says Office Depot is still around. Thank you, Carrie. I wasn't sure. We've got Staples near us. Fine liners are so convenient to have. So cute. Okay. So before I trim off the edge, let me put the sentiment over here because that may actually balance things off. And I don't know if I need to trim down the edge like I said I was going to. We've got a little bit of time. I really like in the sample, the digital sample I created, that we have two tones. We have the blue love and then sending my in black. I'm going to do exactly that. And Crazy Jen uses a block for sentiments. So let's stamp the love first. And then we'll do sending my. So I'll put that here. I think I'll use Teal Cave. Okay. I think this will be pretty. Just like that. I cannot see because the camera's in my way. Okay, I should have used my conditioning eraser first. Oops. It's a little bit of splotchy blotchies right there on the L, but we're running out of time, you guys. There's no time for stamp conditioning right now. Sending my right here. Usually with the obsidian ink, you don't really need to condition it. Pigment ink has a much easier time sitting on the surface of a newer stamp or a stamp you haven't used in a while, which is the case of this one. I'll be sending my right here. Okay. Yeah, I think we're balanced enough. I'm not worried about having to cut off that edge. All right, so I think I'll leave it like this. Maybe I will add some embellishments. Maybe I'll trim a little bit off the edge and mount it to something. I'm not sure. You guys know that if I do update or finish this further, I will share it with you guys in my next live stream. And if you are catching us late, this is Opposites Attract, and we're using colors opposite one another on the color wheel. And my least favorite complementary color scheme is blue and orange. So I've challenged myself to use that here. And I believe those blue plants. I really do. And I think this is better than if I had inverted it and done orange plants with blue pots, especially because we have like that almost terracotta look from the pots. I think that looks really cool. So this is my probably completed card, but maybe shy some embellishments. We'll see. And yeah, this is another one layer. I do tend to like making simple one layer cards. There's really a lot you can do, especially with ink blending, to add that depth and dimension that you would otherwise not have on a flat card. Let me pop back up so I can see you all while we wrap this up. Hello, hello. I am really happy that all of you were able to come and join us today. You've got maybe 30 seconds to share us or share this video while we're still live. If you want to play along with this challenge, please create a project. It does not have to be a card. I know I make cards most likely or most often, but it doesn't have to be a card. Just make something using complementary colors. You don't have to use Altenew products, but I always love when you do. And share it with the hashtag Altenew Challenge Live so that I can find it. And then next week we'll have a brand new challenge for you, and I will be selecting a new winner, and that lucky person will get a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store. So if you want a chance to win that, please play along. And you do not have to finish your project. So you can have a work in progress. Just make sure it features those two complementary colors of your choosing. And of course, you can also include black and white into your project, but no other neutrals or metallics, you guys. I know you really want to use metallics. Maybe we'll do a metallic. Did we do metallic ones? I don't know. I'll have to look at our things. Maybe we'll do a metallic challenge. There's a lot of options, a lot of things we can do here. All right, so that'll just about do it for me today. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a wonderful and crafty day. Bye-bye.